The terrifying secret beneath the Great Pyramid's chamber. What if the largest, most mysterious part of the pyramid isn't in that official story at all? Using technology that can literally see through solid stone, scientists have confirmed a 100-foot-long void, a massive empty space hidden deep inside the pyramid. Now they cautiously call it a void or an anomaly, but whispers from the fringe of archaeology suggest it was built to hold something that could shatter our understanding of the ancient world. Something that might just be terrifying. The enduring enigma. To get your head around what they found, you first have to appreciate the thing that's hiding it. The Great Pyramid isn't just a pile of rocks, it's an idea, brought to life with 2.5 million blocks of limestone and granite. Most of these are a few tons each, but some of the granite beams inside weigh up to 80 tons, the equivalent of a dozen elephants. For over 3,800 years, it was the tallest structure on Earth, a record that wasn't broken until Lincoln Cathedral went up in the 14th century. Its precision is legendary. Its four sides are aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, with an error so tiny it's hard to believe. The stones are shaped and fitted with an incredible tightness. In many places, the joints are practically seamless. This wasn't just building, it was artistry on a scale the world had never seen before, and arguably hasn't seen since. For centuries, the only way to see inside was to break in. Back in the 9th century, Caliph al-Ma'mun, chasing stories of lost knowledge and treasure, blasted a tunnel straight through the solid masonry. It's the same tunnel tourists use today. He and his men were the first to see the pyramid's internal layout in millennia, but they didn't find treasure. They found a puzzle. They discovered a network of passages and chambers that only made the mystery deeper. The so-called Queen's Chamber, deep in the pyramid's body, was completely empty. No carvings, no artifacts, just bare, beautifully finished walls. Its purpose is still fiercely debated. Further up, connected by a stunning corridor called the Grand Gallery, is the King's Chamber. The Grand Gallery is its own riddle. It's a tall, narrow-angled passageway, a masterpiece of architecture. Its walls have these strange slots and ramps, and nobody knows for sure what they were for. It leads to the King's Chamber, a severe, imposing room built entirely of red granite, hauled from a quarry over 500 miles away. Inside that room sits the final piece of the official story, a large granite coffer. This, we're told, was the sarcophagus of Pharaoh Khufu. But it too was empty and lidless. In fact, there is not a single definitive hieroglyph inside the main chambers that names Khufu as its owner. The only direct link comes from what is essentially ancient graffiti, quarry marks left by workers, found in small, inaccessible, relieving chambers, built above the King's Chamber to distribute weight. This is the pyramid we thought we knew. 3 main chambers, an empty box, and a ton of questions that have kept us guessing for centuries. Was it really just a tomb that was robbed thousands of years ago? Or was it for something else? The obsessive precision, the mind-bending scale, the stark emptiness of it all, it almost feels less like a tomb and more like a machine. A machine with a few parts missing. For a long time, the general assumption was that the pyramid had given up all its major secrets, but whispers of hidden rooms never really went away. French researchers in the 1980s detected gravitational anomalies, but their search came up empty. It seemed the blueprint was known. They were wrong. The biggest secret was still inside, and it wasn't going to be found with a drill or dynamite. It would be found with particles born in the heart of dying stars. The technological breakthrough. How do you find a secret room inside a 455-foot-tall mountain of solid rock? For most of human history, the answer was, you don't. Not without wrecking the very thing you're trying to study. It was the ultimate archaeological catch-22. But in the 21st century, a new breed of explorer showed up at Giza. Not archaeologists with picks and brushes, but particle physicists armed with a wild idea, a technology that could do the impossible, see through stone without laying a finger on it. In 2015, an international project called Scan Pyramids got underway, with the full backing of the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities. Led by teams from France, Japan, Canada, and Egypt, the mission was to use non-invasive tech to finally map the pyramid's hidden heart. Their secret weapon sounded like something out of science fiction: cosmic ray muon tomography. Think of it like this: there is a constant invisible shower raining down on our entire planet. This shower isn't water, it's made of tiny particles called muons. Moons are born when high-energy cosmic rays, blasted from exploding stars across the universe, slam into our atmosphere. They rain down constantly, traveling at almost the speed of light. Billions of them are passing through your body right now. The key is that muons act a lot like superpowered X-rays. When they hit something dense like stone, many of them are stopped or deflected. But if they pass through empty space, more of them get through. So if you place a sensitive detector inside a pyramid and count the muons coming from every direction, you can create a map of density. If one spot shows a flood of muons, it means they traveled through less rock. It means there's a void, a hidden chamber. It's the ultimate X-ray machine, powered by the cosmos itself. The Scan Pyramids team used 3 different kinds of muon detectors just to be absolutely sure. One team from Japan used special photographic films. Another used detectors that create a flash of light when a muon passes through. A third used gas-filled chambers that create an electrical signal. The work was slow. The detectors sat for months, patiently collecting data, counting millions upon millions of these ghost-like particles. They were mapping the pyramid one subatomic particle at a time. The data from all 3 teams, using different tech in different locations, would then be compared to rule out any errors. In 2016, they had their first hit: a small unknown void behind the pyramid's north face. Then, in 2023, more scans confirmed this was a 30-foot-long corridor. An endoscopic camera was finally fed through a tiny gap, revealing a rough, unfinished passage, a space clearly never meant to be seen again. It was a huge discovery, but it was just the warm-up act. Because deep in the data, something else was taking shape. A massive anomaly. A place where there should have been nothing but solid limestone, but wasn't. Something huge was hiding in the dark. The discovery. In science, a eureka moment is rarely a sudden flash. It's more like a slow-motion sunrise, a creeping realization built on mountains of data and relentless double-checking. And that's exactly how the discovery of what's now called the Scan Pyramid's Big Void happened. The first clues came from the Japanese team's detectors inside the Queen's chamber. When they processed the data, they saw what they expected: the dense outlines of the King's chamber and grand gallery above them. But they saw something else too: a clear, impossible-to-ignore stream of excess muons. An area where particles were sailing through with way less resistance. It was so big, so obvious, they must have thought their gear was broken. But then, the other teams, using completely different technology in different spots, reported the exact same thing. 3 independent teams, using 3 different methods, all saw the same shadow: a colossal phantom shape inside the pyramid, where no theory, no ancient text, and no architectural blueprint had ever suggested a space should be. After months of cross-checking and peer review, they were sure. In November 2017, they published their findings in the journal Nature, and the news sent shockwaves through archaeology and Egyptology. They had found a major, unknown structure inside the Great Pyramid, the first discovery of its kind in more than a century. They called it simply the Big Void. And it is big. The data pointed to a void, at least 30 meters, or nearly 100 feet long. It sits directly above the Grand Gallery and seems to have a similar shape. To give you some scale, we're talking about a space roughly the size of a passenger jet's fuselage sealed inside the pyramid's core. This wasn't a crack or a collection of gaps. As Mehdi Tayyoubi, one of the project's founders, put it bluntly, what we are sure about is that this big void is there, that it is impressive, and was not expected by, as far as I know, any kind of theory. The discovery was monumental. It proved once and for all that the Great Pyramid wasn't done with us. It proved this ancient monument was even more complex, more mysterious than we had ever imagined. The technology had worked. It had peeled back the layers of stone to reveal a ghost in the machine. But finding out what it was immediately overshadowed by the question of why. Why is it there? What was it for? Science gave us the X on the treasure map, but it couldn't tell us what was in the chest. The scientists are rightly cautious, refusing to call it a chamber. But the rest of us aren't bound by the scientific method. The discovery of a 100-foot-long secret room didn't just open a new chapter in archaeology. It blew the doors wide open for every theory you can imagine. Science has taken us to the edge of the map, revealing a secret that's been waiting for 4,500 years. Now, we have to step into the unknown. We're about to explore the theories, from the mainstream to the forbidden, to ask what this space was really for. If you believe there's more to our history than the official story, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. You won't want to miss what comes next. The Forbidden Theories. The discovery of the Big Void created a vacuum of knowledge, and nature and human curiosity hates a vacuum. So, into that void rushed a flood of speculation, a clash between mainstream archaeology and the more imaginative theories that have been simmering for decades. Science showed us where the void is, but it left the biggest question unanswered. What was it for? The official explanation: a relieving chamber. Let's start with the most mainstream, scientific-sounding idea. Many Egyptologists and engineers believe the void is purely structural. It's a relieving chamber, a deliberately empty space built to take the immense pressure of the millions of tons of stone off the ceiling of the Grand Gallery below. There's a precedent for this. 5 smaller chambers are stacked above the King's Chamber, likely for this exact reason. In this view, the architects were engineering geniuses who knew the stresses involved and built this huge void to keep the structure stable. It was a hidden construction feature, never meant to be seen again. It's logical and plausible. But is it enough? The sheer scale, 100 feet long, seems like overkill. And why would it so closely mimic the shape of the Grand Gallery, one of the most elegant architectural spaces in the pyramid? The explanation feels a little too neat, a little too boring for a feature this massive. The lost construction ramp. Another popular theory, pushed by architect Jean-Pierre Houdin, is that the void is a leftover from the pyramid's construction. Houdin argues the pyramid was built using a massive, spiraling internal ramp. He believes the Grand Gallery wasn't a hallway, but part of a giant counterweight system used to haul heavy granite blocks up to the King's Chamber. In this scenario, the Big Void could be another part of that construction machine, a parallel trackway or ramp that was simply sealed up when the job was done. This is an elegant theory that tries to solve the long-standing mystery of how they moved those giant blocks. It turns the pyramid from a static monument into the fossil of an incredible industrial process. Still, could a space that grand truly be nothing more than leftover scaffolding? The true royal tomb. This is where we cross the line from engineering into what some call forbidden history. What if the pyramid's known layout, the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, the empty sarcophagus, is all just an elaborate decoy? Pharaohs were obsessed with protecting their tombs from robbers. They built false doors, hidden shafts, and mazes. What if the ultimate trick was to build a huge, obvious burial chamber that was meant to be found empty, to distract everyone from the real tomb, hidden so deep no one would ever find it? The big void fits this theory perfectly. It's huge, totally inaccessible from any known passage, and high up in the pyramid's core, safe from looters. Could this 100-foot-long space be the real, untouched burial chamber of Khufu, holding all the treasures we've assumed were lost to history? This idea is electrifying because it suggests the greatest archaeological prize on Earth, an intact pharaoh's burial, is still out there, waiting. The Chamber of Power, the terrifying secret. And then there's the last category of theories, the ones that ask, what if the void wasn't built to hold a body at all? What if it was built to contain something else? A device, an artifact, a source of power? This is where we get to the terrifying secret in the title. This line of thought suggests the Great Pyramid was never a tomb, but a machine. Some, like researcher Christopher Dunn, have argued it was a kind of power plant designed to harness Earth's natural energies. In that context, what could the big void be? Maybe a containment chamber for a powerful, dangerous artifact. Some have even speculated about the legendary Ark of the Covenant. Or maybe it was a library of lost knowledge, the mythical Hall of Records left by a civilization like Atlantis, holding wisdom that could change our world. This is the most profound and, yes, terrifying possibility. The terror isn't about a monster or a curse. It's the terror of revelation. The terrifying thought that our ancestors weren't primitive, but were keepers of a science so advanced, we're only just now seeing its shadow. It suggests that for 4,500 years, we haven't been looking at a tomb, but at a dormant piece of technology, waiting for someone to figure out how to switch it back on. The lingering mystery. So we have a mountain of stone, a signal from the cosmos, an empty coffin, and now a 100-foot-long phantom chamber. We stand before an undeniable truth. The Great Pyramid of Giza is not finished with us. Its greatest secrets may still be ahead. The discovery of the big void is a triumph of human curiosity. Using ghost-like particles from space, we found a ghost in the machine. Science has given us an X on a treasure map of cosmic proportions. But that's where the certainty stops. Is the void a clever bit of engineering, a forgotten construction tunnel, the hidden tomb of a king? Or is it something else entirely? A chamber built to hold a power our science can't yet measure? We just don't know. And that's the most frustrating and beautiful part of this story. The big void didn't answer old questions. It just created 100 new ones. Each theory, from the sensible to the sensational, holds up a mirror to what we believe about our past and what we hope for our future. New missions are being planned. Scientists are designing tiny drones that could one day fly through a small drilled hole and give us our first look inside. The day is coming when this void won't just be a shadow on a computer screen. We will see inside. Until then, we're left to wonder. The Great Pyramid stands not as a monument to a dead king, but as a living question, asked across 45 centuries. A question that challenges what we think we know about who we are. And the search for the answer has only just begun. What do you think is inside the big void? Are you on Team Relieving Chamber, or do you think it holds a secret that could rewrite history? Let us know your theory in the comments below. And if you want to be here for the next great discovery, make sure you're subscribed. The past is never as far away as you think.